I'm Kevin Rinke, and I'd like to welcome you to Beyond the Echo. I ran for governor in Michigan. After losing that election, my desire to look at issues that are important to the state or the country grew. There is so much static. There are so many opinions. Our news stations have gotten to the point where we don't know what news is anymore. Where do you go to get real facts? This is about real perspective for you. Beyond the Echo will cut through all the smoke, all the opinions. It's not about Republicans. It's not about Democrats. It's about the issues and what are real. It's really a privilege for me. I've known a guy for several years, and we weren't close, but we met long ago on a cutting-edge concept, a guy by the name of Curtis Blackwell. And at the time, he was coaching, I think, or what was the title, Curtis, for you at Michigan State?
Recruiting coordinator with director of college advancement.
Yeah, up at Michigan State University, my alma mater, and was doing a heck of a job helping Mark D'Antonio attract the right type of talent, the right type of people to Michigan State's football program. And we were talking about concussions and advancing helmet technology to protect athletes, because at that time, I think a couple of really well-known football players had committed suicide. And it was a big discussion about the what the name of the brain injury that came from multiple concussions.
CTE.
CTE, yeah. And wasn't it a guy off the Pittsburgh Steelers that had committed suicide, if I'm not mistaken? Mm-hmm. Super Bowl champion. And
Junior Seau, maybe.
Became destitute.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all really from this brain disease. And so myself, Curtis, a couple other people started talking and started developing technology. Anyhow, we developed a relationship. And at the time, Curtis was running a camp called Sound Mind, Sound Body. And at that time, Curtis, it was purely a football
camp.
Yeah, flag football or
just a camp, just a skills development camp.
And how did that work? Did kids sign up? Did they come to you? Did you recruit kids to it?
Mm-hmm. So 20 years ago, we started a football camp called Sound Mind, Sound Body, which was really something that would leverage the fact that kids needed to be more than an athlete to go to the next level. And so Sound Mind, Sound Body was an approach where the kids had to participate in a life skill or an academic seminar before they could take the field. And because of that, we were able to get college coaches to come and talk to the student athletes about what it is they needed to have to be a very attractive recruit. And from doing that, we created a unique model where all the college coaches could converge into the inner city and see all the top talent all at one time, sort of like going to an outlet mall, and you can go one-stop shopping. You can see everyone. Yeah. And every year when we would do this, we would get several hundred, 300 to 400 college coaches and 1,000 prospects. That's how I met Mark D'Antonio. And every year, that's how Amon-Ra St. Brown came to the city of Detroit, got his first scholarship offers. And we took that concept across America, and it revolutionized recruiting in America.
I was going to say, you've turned this program into a national program.
Yes.
And I think it's considered really the top talent identifier in college football.
Yep.
And what's interesting is you also do a cheerleading program.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really cool. You know, you had a vision. And that continues to evolve. And today we're sitting in Detroit, in a neighborhood of Detroit. And last year, you received a grant.
This year,
I'm sorry, for the concept of developing a community center.
Yes.
And that's going to go full time. So tell me how that worked. Tell me how it's going to look when it's up and rolling and where we're going with it.
I mean, really, the camp itself was an opportunity to say, like, if 40 student athletes from that camp got scholarships, that was phenomenal. 40 student athletes from the city of Detroit got full scholarship offers at one camp. You had 600-700 kids there. So you got 40 kids get scholarships. That's great. But what about the other 600, 700 kids?
Sure.
We realized that we needed to develop year-round programming to support kids. So we was like, one day wasn't enough to change a kid's life. It can help impact them and launch them forward. And so we started running programs that can help with tutoring, mentoring, reading, literacy, college tours. And that was what allowed us to create a program that went from being a one-day camp to a year-round program. And so now we service 8,000 students year-round. And in doing so, we realized we needed a facility, a headquarters, a place where we could say, this is where we service our kids. And so the governor had this enhancement program that they announced opening RFPs for. We wrote an RFP and was successfully accepted. And it was announced during the NFL draft during our 20th anniversary. This is the celebration of our 20th year of community service. And so this place will be where kids can come, parents can come. We can do training, literacy help with Beyond Basics here. We can feed kids here. And it's right in the neighborhood where Sauce Gardner, Will Johnson, all of the top athletes, and including myself, this is my neighborhood. So this is home for everyone that we know to be a part of the Sound Mind, Sound Body family.
Well, it's not too often that I compliment Gretchen Whitmer, and it's kind of like a spoonful of cod liver oil. But Gretchen, you did good on this one because Sound Mind, Sound Body makes a difference. It changes kids' lives. And the fact that you're going to be able to go year-round, 8,000 kids. You've got a vision to put in classrooms, training facilities, outreach facilities. I've had Pam Good on the program, and we talk about, any kid, but athletes often were accused of just being able to play football. And I think it's really cool, Curtis, on your part that you guys say that's not good enough. You got to be able to read. You got to be able to be a student. You got to be able to fit into your community. How many people do you have working for you right now?
So we have 20 full-time staff, and we have about 150 contractors, and we have about 800 volunteers. So, and the 800 volunteers serve like working with the kids in all of the youth fields. So we have to train them, do background checks on them, fingerprint, make sure, their backgrounds are clear. And then in the schools, we hire contractors who serve as tutors, mentors, or coaches. And we're in 27 different schools. We're up as far as Grand Rapids, Mount Clemens, River Rouge, Redford. We have all the Southfield School District, all the Detroit Public School District, Harper Woods, and Rouge.
How does a kid get into Sound Mind, Sound Body? Do they come to you? Do you go to them? Does a coach flag them? What happens?
What makes our program really successful is we run programs. So we have an after-school program that we run in 27 different schools. So if you attend one of those schools, you're in Sound Mind, Sound Body because every day it's a free program that feeds the kids every day after school. They get tutoring, they get cheerleading, marching band. So we have different programs at different schools that kids can get involved. Then we have a youth league where the kids play contact football and cheerleading. We have about 3,000 girls and boys who are in that program. So one program is after school, another program is contact and cheer. And then we also have our elite program where the kids train and travel and go to camps and they do that year round. That's for all the top athletes, around. And then we also have a United States Department of Education program called Talent Search, where we do nothing but like helping parents with financial aid applications, college admissions, walking kids through that whole college enrollment process from 11th, 12th grade to college. And then once they get in college, we help them go through college.
So let's talk about, kids that are succeeding in today's world, because it's different. I think you played football.
Oh, yeah.
Where'd you play?
I played football at Hampton University. I went to Detroit Martin Luther King High School and got a full scholarship to Hampton University, a historically black college in Hampton, Virginia.
Got it.
Yep.
And you played, right?
Played safety 4 years.
Yeah, yep. I was a blocking dummy when I played. I didn't play. I got beat up Monday through.
You played at Grosse Pointe?
I played in Grosse Pointe, and then I actually walked on at Michigan State and got banged up pretty good.
Not with Coach Perlis?
No, before I'm aging myself, brother.
Okay.
I have muddy waters.
Muddy waters.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Man. Oh,
actually, I've been recruited. Kirk Gibson recruited me. I was a wide receiver at Grosse Pointe High.
Okay.
And I thought that I was going to go, and our coach at State got accused of recruiting violations. And so he resigned, went to Arizona State, asked me if I wanted to be a preferred walk-on out at Arizona.
Gotcha.
And it was too far for me to go, man. I was intimidated. I just wasn't that type of kid. I wanted to be close enough to home. So I went up to Michigan State, and it was a great experience. It just didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to turn out, shall we say.
But you understand the football life because you did play.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And that transition, when you go from high school to college is startling.
Yes. And that's what our kids need. That's what they need. If you're a first generation kid, you don't know what to expect.
No, you turn into a piece of meat.
Yes.
And the pressure and the expectations, and it's tough. And, I think the recent development in college football, in college sports with nil is a negative. How do you feel about that?
Name, image, and likeness?
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you say that because I look at it like a lot of young people. We had a kid like Connor Cook when I was at Michigan State. He was a quarterback at Michigan State,
right.
Very successful. And I'm very proud to say that being there at Michigan State was those years were the greatest era of football success in the history of the Michigan State program,
Absolutely.
arguably. And Connor Cook was the quarterback, the face. And everybody knows the most valuable player on the team is the quarterback, because he's the face. And he had a great career. He got drafted, Oakland Raiders. But I want to say that, his value was never as high as it was in the pros as it was in college.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he probably could have profited from his own name, image, and likeness the same as a gymnast could have that was, that's in college. And so I don't see it being a negative for an athlete to maximize their worth while also, making the most of their athletic career as well.
Well, I'm not against the concept. I guess I look at it, and recently there was a kid that got signed for $10 million, and he was guaranteed that money.
Right.
And that's where I take pause for it, and it's just me because we have a national signing day, and people say that they commit to a program. Really, it's not a commitment anymore. In my time, and I think in your time. You went to a college, you were there for 4 years.
Right.
Didn't matter if the coaches came or went, you were there for 4 years. You accepted a education. You accepted housing. Maybe you had a job that they offered you. Some kids did, some kids didn't. And you made the best out of it. But today, it seems like the transfer portal and building programs has gone beyond just education in college. It's almost a minor league system. And it's not bad. But it just changes for me, the tone of it. Right.
And I look at so you look at what's going on in college football and you say okay, this kid is a student athlete. He goes to school at Rutgers. Rutgers is in the Big Ten. Rutgers has to play a game against University of Washington. They have to go to class. They have to go to practice. Then they have to fly from New Jersey on the East Coast all the way out to the West Coast.
Sure.
Come back home, go to class, go practice every day.
Right.
And then still go to study hall, then go fly back the next week to go play Oregon or UCLA. I mean, these are and then the coach making $10 million a year.
I don't think that's right either.
Right. So I'm saying, so this is the standard. So then the kids have to play their games on Saturday nights, Thursday nights, Friday nights. How are you playing games on Friday nights? So these kids are being treated like professionals because of the TV contracts.
Oh, yeah.
And then at the same time, you're going to say hey, everybody is winning in this model. The universities, the coaches. And now we're getting to the point where the players are finally included within this. And so now I think they're got to try to figure out what do they get from being such a valuable piece of this whole entire process.
Well, see, when you approach it from that, and I'm a guy, and nothing against the great coaches that are out there, but I don't think college coaches should be getting paid $10 million a
Right.
year.
That's what created this whole.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody wanted some more because you start seeing where all this money coming from.
I personally, and I went to Michigan State. I think student tickets should be free for what they charge for college, or maybe $5 or something like that, so everybody can go. It's crazy. You've got tickets at college games that are selling for thousands and thousands of dollars, and I get the fans. They're rabid. I mean, I like going to the parking lot, and I like having a tailgate and all that stuff, but it's lost the
purity of it all.
The purity of it is a great way of saying it, because I always thought that colleges owed it to the athletes. They give them an education.
Yes.
And that's great. And that's part of it. But kids get hurt and they get tossed aside. And what for me was crazy was, you're just a piece of bacon, man. You better sizzle, because if you stop sizzling, there's someone else who's going to sizzle, right?
Yep.
And that's not what collegiate athletes are supposed to be. It's not what collegiate athletics are supposed to be about. So maybe nil is something reasonable in today's environment, but I'd like to see a different environment myself.
And I think everything has to be right set it. Yeah. Because at this present moment, I can't commit to go play for Muddy Waters, and then I get there and he leaves to go take a job at LSU. So now he was the coach at Michigan State, kind of like how Coach Saban was, and he left. So now I'm stuck to play for a new coach that I didn't sign to play for? This could change my whole life. Yeah. Now this coach brings in an offense that I don't even want to be a part of because it doesn't fit my skill set. So these types of things, and then so the coaches can leave, but the players are forced to stay. I think it has to be the duality. Coaches, it's got to be some sort of honor amongst everyone to make this thing be what it is. And so the transfer portal and those things, it just really, they're trying to figure out how do you make it equitable on both ends. And that's where it's kind of out of, I don't agree with all the aspects of it right now, because I do feel like it's out of control and it needs to be more confined. But at this present time, I think they're just trying to figure it all out, because now you're at a point where, hey, they listen, if you all are getting this money, I think everyone else is asking for the same thing in return.
Yeah, well, there's no question that the schools made a ton of dough off the players, and that there has to be some sort of equity to it. Candidly, I was kind of yanking you a little bit because I wanted to see what your belly was. I wanted to see how that fire came out. Mm-hmm. And you're a guy that's feeding these kids, and you're dealing with the top talent. So you get the satisfaction in the current environment of some of your kids really hitting it big.
But I'm going to tell you, it's a lot. You think about it's a college football playoff right now.
Yeah.
You know how many games is a college football season right now?
It's nuts.
15 games.
It's nuts.
You know how many games are in the NFL? That's like 16, 17. You're a pro.
Yeah.
And then think about it. You got to go through spring football. Then you got to go to winter conditioning, summer. So you got to play a 15-game season.
Oh.
15 games. And then you're going to play 15 games where back in the day you played 10 games.
Yeah.
So you add on 5 games for 4 years. That's an extra 20 games. That's an extra 2 seasons.
Well, think of it this way. What's the average longevity for a college athlete? Because there is an average longevity. Mm-hmm. I mean, like in the NHL, I want to say that it's 3.7 years as a pro.
In the NFL,
3 years.
Yep.
So you're adding those extra 5 games a year for 4 years. And does that reduce your ability? You know what? That's what I like about conversations, when you form an opinion or you have a thought, and then you talk to people who really know their stuff, and you say, man, did you consider this? Man, did you consider that? It's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah. And then the first thing that the NFL is going to do, they're going to check your body for how many injuries that you have. And they're going to look at your medical records. And if you're a running back, your value goes all the way down even further, because running backs have no value in the NFL no more.
I don't understand that, because I think Jamar Gibbs in Montgomery,
yes,
those 2 guys are studs.
Yes.
And they put it out there.
Right.
And you'd think they get paid more versus less. You think they get paid more.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So any, I'm all for everyone getting what they consider to be their fair share. And, and I understand that there are, multiple sides to it all, because I like the fact that, there is, I want the kids to understand, like, the college experience that I had was this, I did it for the love of the game, and I appreciate getting,
yeah.
the simple things that I got. And I would never want to go back into college recruiting ever again, because if I recruit a kid and then he's going to mess around and leave the next day, it takes the fun out of it, because you can't see a kid develop.
Well, they've turned it into a business.
Oh,
There's no question.
nothing. So look, Belichick is hired by University of North Carolina.
Yeah.
And he's coming to bring a pro model to the University of North Carolina.
See,
he's bringing Lombardi there with him. He's going to be the general manager. He's going to run it like the New England Patriots, and they're going to run an NFL style model at the University of North Carolina. This is the professionalization of college athletics.
Yeah. And it's happening in every sport in college.
Yes.
They've turned it really into a minor league feeder system.
Oh, definitely.
And I don't know if that's good.
Oh.
Because from an educational perspective, and we talked about this with Pam, our ability to participate and understand after sports seems to be going down. These kids have the skill set. And I think that's what's so beautiful about Sound Mind, Sound Body, is you guys are doing both. You're doing both. When you were young, when you started this thing up, sitting around drinking a beer with your buddies, I mean, who comes up with an idea like this and then fights through it? Because you've had some challenges.
Yes.
There have been a lot of finger pointing at Curtis Blackwell.
Yes.
For all the good you do, the people that look for fly, shit, and pepper were trying to find out things that were bad about you to hurt your program. Talk to me about that.
Well, so the interesting thing is, when you grow up in the neighborhood that I grew up in, you realize the number one thing that everyone is, we want to make it out. You want to make it out. And when you make it out, it's like, all right, I'm on my way to Chicago, Atlanta. And so I felt so grateful because of my college, of my high school coaches. They really developed me, because I grew up in a single parent home, and my high school coaches really took me underneath their wings and guided me. And I had a strong sense of really gratefulness and gratitude for what they did, that I felt like I needed to come back to Detroit and be that same person for someone else, because I wanted to say, like, if all the top people from the city leave, who does that leave to help the next generation? And I feel like if your community, your neighborhood where you come from has nothing left of it, then what does that say about everything that it produced? No one cared enough to come back and support where they come from. And so that's why we're sitting here at this present time. And that's why I never really cared too much about what anyone thought, because in my mind, I always looked at the individuals that I was working with, and I could always see in their faces that they always appreciated what was taking place, and the success that they had. I was living through them vicariously. It allowed me to see that we were really doing the right thing, and that was God's plan.
You've been doing good, and it's interesting. Perspectives, opportunities. I love Michigan. I don't ever want to leave Michigan. I like my community. I go back, and I want it to be thriving. I want it to be a place that I'm proud of, and to see those next generations coming. And your commitment to me is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I applaud that. I think that as Detroit and the communities that surround Detroit go, Michigan goes. And we got to do everything we can to strengthen education. We got to strengthen role models like you. One of the accusations that you ultimately cost your job was you had an athlete. And life isn't always easy, right? And kids that make mistakes. And so an athlete comes to you and there's been a problem. And you talking to him, ultimately, overzealous, people not doing the right thing, it costs you a job. And it costs you maybe a hit for your reputation. There was already people questioning you, saying, how can you run sound mind, sound body? Are you being fair and work at Michigan State at the same time? But it's personal, man. Do you mind if we talk about the bad experience?
No, I don't at all.
At Michigan State. So why don't you paraphrase the situation that went on? And we don't need to, the athletes' names aren't important, but I want people to understand the big picture, because in society, all too often, we rush to judgment and we're covering our butts, or we think we're covering our butts. We fail to really understand and explore the whole situation before we make a decision.
Right.
And it's really hard for people to go back.
Right.
So talk about that for me, would you?
No, I mean, so at Michigan State, I was in my 4th year. We had won 2 Big Ten championships, a Rose Bowl, Cotton Bowl. I mean, success at Michigan State probably was no higher. And we were at the end of what was the worst of the 4 years. We had went 5-7 that year on the field. So the success was not what it was in the previous 3 years. But at that time, we had seen it all. We had top recruiting classes, parties, celebrations, parades, because we had done what no other Michigan State teams had ever done. And so at this point in time, me being the director of college advancement, my job was to recruit the kids to campus, but also help them develop off the field as well. So I was their coach off the field, helping them navigate all the nuances that arose once they got on campus.
Well, think about it, and I'm going to interject, because a kid that comes from the inner city, a kid that's clawed their way up and finds himself in that environment, it's a whole new world. And I think a lot of people spending big money on tickets don't understand the intimidation, the challenge, maybe the fear that these kids have, as well as the scrutiny.
Right.
So keep talking. You're taking care of these kids. You're teaching them to facilitate in society.
But you got to understand, I was brought to Michigan State by Mark D'Antonio as an individual who could relate to these kids. And I was that person that can be the one that the parents can call. So once they went through the recruiting process, I was their person. Once they got on campus, then they can call me. What's going on with my grades? What's going on with his injury status? How is he doing on the field? Is he need help with his dorm room? So I was the individual that they would use, and it would keep things from going to the coaches a lot of times.
Sure.
So I'm dealing with these type of things for 3 or 4 years. Also, at the same time, this Larry Nassar investigation was going on, and Michigan State was under a microscope because you had everyone nervous on pins and needles because of this whole investigation about these young women who were basically sexually assaulted by Larry Nassar.
Yeah.
And so that was a whole other thing that was happening on the same time. So at this particular instance that I was involved in, they accused the players of being, they got accused or charged with sexual assault with the girl, which they ended up not going to court, not getting convicted of any of those charges. All those charges were dropped.
And were the kids allowed to stay at the school?
They had to transfer out.
They forced them to transfer.
Yep. They couldn't go back into the
even
school.
though they were innocent.
Yes. Yep. And so then when they investigated me, they came to interview me, and the police were asking me questions about, did I know about party? I was like, yeah, the kids go to parties all the time. Like, this is no big deal from the Big Ten championship. Yeah. And I said, yeah, I heard about the party, but I didn't know a sexual assault occurred when they interviewed me. They just asked me about the party. And so when they were asking me about the party, I told them I talk to the kids like all the time. And I said, my number one thing that I say to the kids is like, you got to be careful going to these parties because anything can happen in any given instance. No kid.
Someone picks a fight.
Right.
Someone.
And me being Coach Blackwell, as I told the police officers, no kid ever come to me and say, hey, Coach, I got a blowjob last night. Hey, Coach, I had sex with a girl. Like, we never had those type of interviews.
Yeah.
No kid even feels comfortable. Like, they call me Coach Blackwell. They don't call me Curtis. They don't call me bro. They always treat me with respect. So we never went into personal business with them. Like, we never spoke. They never said, hey, Coach Blackwell, we all had sex with this. Like, we didn't talk like that. No one spoke. Like, that's not even normal because that's who I am as Sound Mind, Sound Body. We all about developing kids. And that's what I was doing at Michigan State. So as the interview was going on, they said that because I had conversations with the kids, they thought that I had information about an alleged sexual assault. And so what that meant was they wanted to interview me at the police station, but instead of just taking me down, they handcuffed me and put me in the back of a police car and took me to the building.
You know, I think
and that's what changed everything because everybody in the Michigan State building thought that I did something wrong. And the police said that because they thought that I was basically impeding their investigation because they thought that, one, I had information that I should have told them, or two, they thought that I told the kids to get rid of evidence such as delete text messages or things of that sort, which when they went through all of my phone records, they took both of my cell phones. They found nothing of the sort. They dropped all the charges against me. I was never charged, and they could have easily just taken me to the police station and questioned me without arresting me. And I said, if the same,
I suspect you would have walked down there or driven down with them. All you got to do is ask.
And the question was, if the roles were reversed, would you have handcuffed Mark D'Antonio? Would you have handcuffed Dino Felino, who's the director of player development?
Yeah.
I said, why is the black man now I feel like a black man on a college campus because I'm thinking like, why do you have to arrest me in broad daylight in front of everybody?
Yeah.
And so now no one at that point in time on campus stood up for me, said anything positive for me. Everyone said like, all right, I was treated like I was this renegade guy who was on campus. And so everything went from sugar to shit.
I actually wanted this opportunity for you because you're a good dude and you're doing the right things. And at the end of the day, you were proven innocent, but the system jumped too quickly. And University of Michigan had, a sexual assault scenario that I think they just settled for $480 million. Crazy stuff happens in this world, but it doesn't mean you're guilty. You can't control every aspect of those kids' lives. And yet you recovered, you persevered. And I think that that's really a testament to you.
Oh, I mean, I tell people the Michigan State experience was the best experience in my life because the learning the legal system, so when I come back home to the city of Detroit, now I'm a better servant to those that I work with because any young man going to college campuses, any student athlete, I can speak to it all. I know what it's like to be on that side. I know what it's like to be on the wrong side. I've seen kids go and get drafted. I've seen kids go and get arrested. I understand it so much better. And so how do you get to the point to be like this unless you go through it? You're only as good as your experiences. You don't lose in life, you learn in life. Every loss is a lesson. And so for me, that gave me the fire to return home. And when I came back to the city of Detroit, I was like, I didn't know what to do, Kevin. You see your name on ESPN, you see your name on the cover of the newspaper.
They're giving it to you hard.
And I walk in the city and the kids still treated me like Coach Blackwell. And they said, man, Coach Blackwell, you always looked out. And that really let me know that this was truly my purpose and my calling is to be right where I'm sitting talking to you at this very moment. Because when I returned home, there was the kids in the community embraced me because they said, you've always tried to help young people. Yeah. And that let me know that this is my purpose in life. And that's the reason why I feel so at home in what I do. And I say, work is not work. I don't even understand. I have a master's degree. I worked at the NCAA. I work with the NFL. I work with Detroit Pal. I worked at Michigan State. I worked at Baylor. I worked at the American Football Coaches Association.
You could be doing other stuff.
Other things, exactly.
You could be making more money.
Exactly. Yeah, I could be on the other side of NIL. I could be doing an agent. I could be helping develop those deals. That kid that got $10 million, Bryce Underwood, he was in our program. I can do all of those things, but this is what God has me doing, and I feel so at home doing it.
See, I think that's really good. Dude, you're giving me goosebumps. And for all the right reasons, because so few people understand their purpose. So few people accept what their role is and then make it work. And that's what you're doing. And the kids are benefiting from it. Talk about the future. You received this grant.
Yep.
Again, we talked about Gretchen Whitmer, and might be the first time I've complimented her.
We're recording this.
There you go. It's all right.
A soundbite.
Yeah, it's I want to see more of this kind of stuff. And who knows, maybe someday I'll be able to do some stuff like this for Michigan and for Detroit. You've got a community center here that you received in this grant. And man, this is cool. You're going to redo a kitchen. You've got classrooms. You've got your programs that you're populating 8,000 kids. You're putting in a workout facility. You've got presentation rooms. This place is going to be going 24/7.
Yes.
Talk to me about this. Is there a school? Are you going to put a charter school in here or something? Or what else is going for Sound Mind, Sound Body?
So this is a Sound Mind, Sound Body Community Engagement Center, and this will serve up to 1,000 students at one time in the facility. Once it's up and fully renovated,
1,000 students a day.
They can fit in there, and at one time after school. Yes, that building can hold in that all those classrooms. It's 50,000 square feet of access to rooms, the basement, the upstairs. If we can get 1,000 kids in there at one time, and that's the goal.
Crazy,
and that's the goal. And what I want you to think about is this: Detroit is on the rise. You see what's happening with the revitalization of our community, our city. You go downtown, you see it. But what about the neighborhoods?
Yeah.
And so many times people sit around and they say, who's going to do it for us? No, it's for us, by us. This is my neighborhood. This is where I'm from. I know what the kids in this neighborhood need. I know what the parents, I've been in Michigan State. I worked on all those levels. And so I can advocate to people like yourself, Pam Good, Governor Whitmer. I can say, hey, I understand that kids from this neighborhood don't have access. We're not waiting for someone else to do it. We're going to do it ourselves. And so I saw what others drove by and saw as something that was old. I said, man, this could be something that can be a mecca for the East Side, for the residents in this neighborhood. And we're going to do it our own selves instead of waiting. And that's what we've been about. And this is going to be our home for cheerleaders, football players, coaching clinics, all of those things to take place right in this neighborhood so that as downtown is on the up, this neighborhood is on the up all at the same time.
Yeah. It's interesting because you got a vision and you're making that vision. I got a vision for Detroit, and you touched on something. I think Detroit recovers when the neighborhoods are all thriving. I'm not worried about the downtown business district.
Exactly.
When the neighborhoods are thriving, when the people are thriving, when they're sticking their shoulders back and they are proud of the D. And, this city used to be the third largest city in America. This city at one time was the fifth most affluent city in the country. Mm-hmm. And you know what? The minority population was the wealthiest in America. And we got a long way to go. We're making progress. Yep. But it's people like you, Curtis, that are doing it. And I think that's just really cool stuff. And I applaud you for it. Yes. I mean, yeah. Are there going to be programs like this for other sports?
Yes. I mean, we're looking at having cheerleading, esports. We're also partnering with Wayne County. So this would be a resiliency hub. We working with
similar to like what PAL used to do, because I used to do a program for hockey for youth, a PAL sponsored program.
Yep.
And I was teaching kids how to ice skate because hockey's my deal now. Okay. I mean, I love the game, like football too, but I'm a hockey nut.
Gotcha.
And that program went away. They said they didn't have the funding for it anymore. So
that's what we want to have. Programs that are accessible to the residents.
Yeah.
Like transportation is a barrier. And so what we want to do is make things here in the neighborhood where the parents can walk straight across the street to this building. Cheerleaders can do gymnastics work. They can learn how to tumble, do stunts. Kids can get literacy help. Now we have this building, Pam Good and Beyond Basics will have offices in this building. So
really?
We'll have so it'll be a literacy intervention center. We'll have a health center there in a room that'll be dedicated for dental checkups, wellness checkups, physicals. So those resources can be available. We'll be able to feed the students. Summer camp. Kids don't have places to go in the summer to do constructive activities.
Constructive activity. That's exactly it.
So what happens is we talk about what our kids are not doing. But what we fail to mention is that when I was growing up, there were more community centers available when I was younger
than there are today.
Than there are today.
Yeah.
But then we talk about these kids are bad. These kids can't read. These kids. Well, look at what we're doing. How can they read when there's nowhere to go to read? All the buildings, all the schools close at 3:00.
Well, it's got to be cool. You know what I'm saying? And they got to see their peers investing their time and their energy. And I think this offers that opportunity. I just had a thought when you were talking. How many Detroit public schools, charter schools, private schools are in a 5-mile radius of this place?
It's 14 schools within 4 miles of this building.
14 schools.
Yep. And that's 3 Detroit public schools. You have East English Village. You have Denby. They are basically walking distance. Harper Woods School District is less than a mile. Chandler Park School District, which is a charter school districts here. Carlton Elementary is on the same block right here on the other end. You have Marquette. It's multiple schools that are here. So for transportation, we're getting our own transportation so that we can help transport the kids. Parents can drop them off or they can walk or ride their bikes to this facility.
And Sound Mind, Sound Body is not just a minority problem. It's any kid that wants to work within the community.
Yeah, we have kids from Grosse Pointe come here. Every year we have about 4 or 5 kids from Grosse Pointe South. We have kids from South Lake, Roseville, Warren de La Salle. We have a lot of kids from Warren de La Salle, and they come to this building. In order to be in our program, every kid has to do 10 hours of community service. And so they started off here in the fall doing that. And so you see white, black kids all raking leaves, delivering turkeys to houses because they're all understanding who we are and what we do so that they can realize that it's all about being a giver and not just a taker.
Yeah. You know what, Curtis, I think it's awesome. I've been a fan, not only of your program, but of you. You inspire me because like I say, that God has blessed you with knowing what your calling was, and you're doing something about it, and you're in the arena every single day making other people's lives better. Keep it up. And I'm looking forward to see the development of this program. If people want to contribute to Sound Mind, Sound Body, is there a way that they can financially help you? And I don't know if anybody out there wants to do that. If they want to learn more, is there a website for Sound Mind or Sound Body?
Yep.
Talk about it.
smsbacademy.com. We launched our capital campaign. We raised about $1 million so far in our capital campaign effort. So we definitely are taking any donation because we have a matching donor with this program that we're in right now. So we raised $1 million thus far, but smsbacademy.com. You can go to our website and you can contribute. And I think it's so important that we have individuals like you who are from the community who can kind of help, be basically a bridge because you have an access of followers who may not know about programs like us or even people like myself. Yeah. So we really appreciate you shining the light on us because this is what it takes to really move our community forward. Is conversations, and it's not like I tell people, it's not about what we don't like. All we need to focus on what we have in common. Yeah, and we care about this community, and when this community does well, we all do well.
See, I describe it this way: it's a hand up, not a handout. Handouts don't work.
Yes.
You're creating givers, not takers. Yes. God bless you, man. I think it's great. Curtis Blackwell on Beyond the Echo. If you think about it, would you come back and maybe we get Ra or maybe we get a couple of students and they can talk about their experience? Because I think it's really important that people that listen to Beyond the Echo know and understand truly the impact in these people's lives and that there's more opportunity and more kids in the pipeline that need a hand up, not a handout.
We would love that opportunity. And I appreciate Tony, man. He went to great lengths to get around your busy schedule. So thanks, big shout out to Tony. But we would love to come and get someone else to tell their story. And I think that's what it's all about. Everyone has a story. And, it's important to listen and have platforms where you can really disseminate that information. And so we just appreciate you extending that opportunity to us because it means the world. Because no matter what I do, I don't have access to a person like you unless you come and say, you know what, you're going to bring your whole setup to the East Side and set up shop and do a show here. I mean, like I'm extremely grateful and thankful, and we want to promote this on our platform as well, because I think people need to understand who you are and what you're doing, and we hope that you can do it, because you are an East Sider too. You're from Grosse Pointe, so we're all in the same.
Yeah.
No offense to no one else, but we're East Siders, so we stick
and proud
together.
of it, by the way.
Right.
You know what? And we are East Siders. We aren't the haves or the have-nots,
Right.
at least not in my book.
Right.
We're East Siders.
Yeah.
We're Detroiters. We're
Yeah.
Michiganders.
Yes.
And damn proud of it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
want everybody to feel that same level of pride.
Amen.
Amen.
Yep.
So you won't be seeing the last of me, brother.
Okay.
We'll be back and watching you. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate your stopping by, and we're going to get you some Sound Mind, Sound Body gear. So next time you show up, we're going to have you dressed out with your SMSB shirt on.
I got to tell you, unfortunately, and I'm not going to ask you to put your feet up on the desk, but this guy is sporting some shoes today that are just bad. I mean, I didn't even know. But it all goes together, man.
Yeah.
You got the outfit. It's cool.
It's what we call our recruiting stuff. When I go into the schools, it's all about connecting with the kids and meeting them where they're at. And so these shoes are a part of me attracting kids to me, because that's the first part of building a rapport with them. And so when I go into some of these schools, whether it's Persian or Harper Woods, when they see you with your shoes on, they're drawn to you, and then you get a chance to have a connect. So I try to keep the best shoes on. These are what we call our recruiting shoes, and it helps start a conversation with young people.
Well, everybody needs an icebreaker.
Yep.
And if it's shoes, if it's a goofy look on your face, whatever it is, I sport the goofy look. When you got a square head and big ears, I mean, the shoes aren't going to help you, right? Well, listen.
If you put those shoes on, though, I guarantee you, like Tony said, if you got those shoes, I guarantee you will be an instant conversation starter.
Really?
Oh my goodness. Yes, you want some J's? Try it.
I got to do it, because I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? I'll be honest, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try it.
All right. It's got to be the shoes.
Yeah. Hey, Curtis, before we go, would you mind giving us a quick plug on Sound Mind, Sound Body?
Sound Mind, Sound Body, 20 years of service in the Metro Detroit community, using athletics as a vehicle to engage young people in the community on how to be more than an athlete. Sound Mind, Sound Body has taught kids to apply equal amounts of energy to being not only a good athlete, but the same amount of energy that you put into being a good athlete, you must put into being a good student and a good person of character. And so if you're interested in learning more about the Sound Mind, Sound Body program, please follow us on social media, SMSB Academy, or on our website, smsbacademy.com. Thank you. My name is Curtis Blackwell, president and co-founder of the Sound Mind, Sound Body Foundation.
All right. Well, it's been a great conversation with my friend Curtis Blackwell, and I'm proud to call him that. He's doing incredible stuff for kids in the Detroit community, Sound Mind, Sound Body. And this has been another episode of Beyond the Echo. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks for tuning in to Beyond the Echo. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss an update. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop us a comment and share the podcast with your friends. Stay connected and keep the conversation going by following us on social media. Until next time, keep exploring Beyond the Echo.